And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hallman & Company Chairman Tony George for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
What an exciting moment. Ready for the start of the 101st Indianapolis 500. We introduced the starting field to you earlier. You'll see it again coming across the top of your screen as the field gets ready for the command to roll off. And this huge crowd comes to its feet with a big roar. There they go. Led by the Honda two-seater Indy car. At the head of the field, driven by the 1969 winner Mario Andretti. To see more Honda racing content, go to racewithhonda.com. There's Mario. We have cameras on board 14 of the 33 cars in today's race. There's a Honda on board riding with James Davison as he subs for Sebastian Bourdais today. Harding Group is a new entrant. 2015's Rookie of the Race, Gabby Chavez, drives. And Joseph Newgarden's Verizon onboard includes that visor cam that we showed you earlier in our pre-race show. How cool is this going to be?
Oh, that's real life, guys. I'll tell you, that's like just being in the cockpit.
Yeah, wait till they're going 230 miles an hour.
Newgarden part of a very interesting row 8 that includes last year's series champ Simon Pagenaud and last year's runner-up Carlos Munoz, who always seems to shine his best here at Indy. We'll ride today with three-time winner Helio Castroneves, starting in 19th position.
This is his 8th attempt at being only the 4th man to win Indy 500 4 times.
Can he join that club today? Jan Beekes?
And Helio Castroneves is, of course, starting the farthest back he's ever started in the 500. But he said earlier, we have since found some speed. And I like my chances in the race and to win my 4th Indy 500. He ended up being the fastest car in the final practice and says, I love the way the car works in traffic, but admitted, oh boy, I've got to be patient, especially on the start.
All right, John, thanks. James Hinchcliffe carries our Lucas Oil camera. He'll try to quick step his way up from row 6. Subtle pun for those of you dancing fans. Graham Rahal's Steak and Shake camera also includes visor cam today.
Remember that feeling, Eddie, coming around for the parade laps, looking at all the people there. This is when you realize that this is a biggest event in the world.
It's hard to explain what it feels like sitting in the car with that many people.
And the big roar for the huge American flag coming down the front straightaway. More of our onboard looks for you. The 2014 winner, Ryan Hunter-Reay, has the AutoNation camera starting in row 4 today. And check out row 3. Some really good candidates for the win here.
Oh, a very strong row with Marco Andretti. Remember how close he was in his rookie year in 2006? Put him in the contention today. 71 starts for the Andretti family, but only 1 victory with Mario in 1969.
All 3 of those cars in that row 3 have onboard cameras. Will Power, the series' most recent winner, with a Verizon camera. And AutoNation on board with Marco Andretti, who seemed very loose and relaxed this week. Likes his chances. And Tony Kanaan with the NTT Data camera, the 2013 winner.
Tony is always a great crowd favorite, but let's keep our eye on him, because if he's in that last group on that last sprint, he is a master at restarts, as he showed us when he won his Indy 500.
Fernando Alonso carries the McLaren on board from the middle of row number 2. The Spaniard has accomplished a lot in his Formula One career and now wants to add an Indianapolis 500 win to that resume. Rick DeBrule.
Well, Alan, we've talked a lot about the fact that he's a world champion, one of the greatest race car drivers of all time. But when the green flag flies here at Indy, he's just a rookie. He's going to have to figure out restarts. He's going to have to figure out pit stops. He's going to have to figure out traffic. Now, he's had some great advice this week. He's doing a great job. It's going to test his championship skills. He says he's as prepared as he can possibly be, but he also admits that for the Indy 500, even that may not be enough.
Of course, Alonso from Spain, the Spanish version of our race, presented by ESPN Deportes, is accessed by using the SAP function on your remote control. Last year's winner, Alexander Rossi, has an AutoNation camera today and starts on the outside of the front row. Remember, only 5 times has the race been won back-to-back. There'll be a lot of cheers for Ed Carpenter today. We ride with him from the middle of row 1, Doc.
And folks, if you're looking for a small team that may be able to hang with the heavyweights, how about front row starter Ed Carpenter? Ed grew up right here in Indianapolis, just blocks from the Speedway. Started coming here when he was 8 years old, and yes, he knows every word to back home again in Indiana. He graduated from nearby Butler University. In fact, won a support race here 2 weeks later. His small family-owned team is headquartered right across the street. They employ less than 40 people. You can take a cell phone picture of the entire team in the parking lot. Yet here he is once again on the front row of the biggest race of the world. Now, folks, think about it. Here on Memorial Day weekend, here's an American-born, Indiana-bred driver powered by a Chevy engine chasing his childhood dream. It just doesn't get any more red, white, and blue than that. Alan?
He's a great one to watch today. We'll also ride with the pole sitter, Scott Dixon, and his Honda on board. When he won the race in 2008, he also started from the number 1 spot, Jan.
Yes, of course, Scott Dixon is one of 18 today with Honda Power. And Honda Power has been incredibly fast. Unfortunately, Honda has lost 8 engines, 8 engine failures here in the month of May. So there's no question Honda has the speed, but there's a definite question as to whether they can go 500 miles.
All right, Jan. And these long straightaways will definitely stress those engines. Our Firestone track facts, 5/8 of a mile down each of the straightaways here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They built the track to be the toughest proving ground for automobiles they could on the piece of land that they had. It's a long haul. Actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Walking Dead, Grey's Anatomy, and more. He's driving the pace car today. There he is. It's a Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. Go to Chevy.com/Grand Sport for more. All of those onboard cameras we just showed you, in addition to our ABC telecast, you can find on the ESPN app all race long if you'd like to ride with your favorite driver. And so here we come to the green flag. Actor Jake Gyllenhaal and Boston Marathon bombing victim Jeff Bowman, you saw earlier, will wave the twin green flags. 11 rows of 3 ready to start the Indianapolis 500-mile race. It'll be exciting. Let's see who wins. Power inside of Carpenter for second as Scott Dixon leads. Carpenter back on willpower. Tony Kanaan going to look to the inside. 54 lead changes in this race a year ago. How many will we have today?
Everybody's finally in line, Scott.
Most important part, get through turn one, as we've always talked about. Also the first lap. I just remember the experience here being a rookie. I think about the 4 rookies we have in the field today, especially Fernando. Now there's some stuff going on, guys, that's not the time to do it. Just a couple of laps into the race.
That was Montoya and Jay Howard on the back straightaway.
This is the part of the race where you have to get into a rhythm quickly because you have a long way to go.
This is also the first laps you understand what type of car that the engineers have given you. We talk about the different track conditions, the different weather conditions. So now you're driving along with something that you need to settle into and figure out whether your car's working for you or whether you need to settle into a rhythm yourself as a driver. Very difficult to do.
Third place, Kanaan by Will Power. Tell you what, going into that first couple of corners, Tony Kanaan made a couple of really aggressive moves on the start, determined to make 20 the race where he might win again at Indianapolis.
Starts and restarts are what Kanaan is probably one of the best at.
You know, and speaking to him, he knew he didn't have the greatest car in qualifying, as we right now see Rossi going in and making a move. These guys are aggressive very early on in the race. Helio Castroneves, you ride along with now. He's coming up through the field. He said he wants to be back up at the front and in the lead by about lap 100. And he's got some great teachers in his camp to help with that, including Rick Mears, who used to be the master at making sure he had a great car ready for the end of the race.
And a quick update on Alonso. He got shuffled back a little bit, but he's still hanging on to the 8th place car ahead of him.
Back to 9th place for Alonso. Not surprising that he would drop back for a while. I use the Kurt Busch model as an example as TK goes for 2nd place. And Rossi and Power. Rossi comes away with that spot. I used the Kurt Busch model a couple of years ago, right? Didn't know, came over from NASCAR to run the 500, never ran an IndyCar race before, dropped back in the field. But as he got comfortable and they adjusted the car, came forward, and wound up finishing in the 6th position as Rossi goes by Carpenter and picks up a spot. Alonso update from Rick.
I just want to make the point, you know, you talk about all the things he has to think about. Just as they were going out on that last pace lap, they had to remind him twice what fuel map to be on. There's a little dial on his dash, on his steering wheel. He has to turn it to be on the right one. They said, okay, go to 5. No, you're an 8, go to 5. So even at the last moment, they were having to work with him to get him just right.
Wow. Will Power made J.R. Hildebrand work for that spot. Hildebrand, 21, Power 12. Now Marco Andretti, 27. Goes after Will Power, this for 6th place. And a new leader, Tony Kanaan, is by Scott Dixon to the number 1 spot.
Now let's remember, they are teammates, and if they start working together, they can actually put some distance between the cars that are behind them.
Doc?
These teammates you were talking about, Dixon and Kanaan, are the lightest on downforce of any of the heavyweight teams at the beginning of the race. They knew they would be fast. The question is, would they be able to stay there for quite a while when the track got slicker and the tires got worn? By the way, Carpenter's team, mid-range downforce, but Rossi and the Team Andretti cars, the highest downforce we've seen among the heavy teams. Again, Ganassi's guys light on downforce, the Andretti cars heavy on downforce.
The car that's really impressive right now is Rossi. He is very quick and right behind the first 2 Ganassis.
Be worth watching, but we're very early on in this Indianapolis 500-mile race. One pass for the lead. Here it was a minute ago from onboard Dixon's car, as his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate Tony Kanaan drafts by into turn 3. You won't miss a thing in our ABC side-by-side.